behind moving back and forth between black and white and color. She says that the transitions between certain scenes using that technique was very interesting to her.
Well, the show is very much a love letter to old film noir from the 40s and the 50s, so black and white era. And the blacks and whites of those old film noir movies are such a huge part of its style. It sort of represents the darkness and the light of human nature. And so we just love those films. Cutting the clips into the series was an idea that Fernando Morales, our director, had when he was editing the first episode, and he surprised us all with those clips. We hadn't talked about it, wasn't in the scripts, and we watched them and fell in love with the way that they influenced the pacing and rhythm, but also the emotion of the show.
Nice, thank you. Audrey, Sugar is a man of great kindness, skill, and discretion, but also someone with his own personal secrets. How will his secrets continue to impact his work this season?
I think Sugar's secrets and his work are intertwined. And as the case continues to evolve and intensify, so will his kind of grappling with his own personal demons and secrets.
All right, for both of you, whose character arc did you find the most challenging and the most rewarding to script out and dive into this season?
Well, I think the easy answer is Sugar. I think Sugar's character arc is, because he's the main character, is the broadest arc over the span of the season. I think his sort of basic humanity is tested. I think he evolves the most as he's facing the darkest sort of corners of our sort of over the human condition. And so I think he has to go to some really dark places, and then he has to dig himself out from those places by the end of the season if he's going to survive psychically, not just physically. And I think, anytime you're telling a story that has that kind of complexity and depth to it, it's just, as a writer, I can say that's a challenging thing to do effectively.
And I agree with that. The only thing I would add on is what's interesting about his struggle is inherently Sugar is trying to be a good person, and all the obstacles that come his way are kind of tests along the way. And it's really, how does a person encounter those things? Where do they come back to? And what is their moral compass? So seeing him experience all those things and try to almost claw back to his humanity and his good side constantly is an interesting struggle. And I think something, it's a comment on life, right? Life is never static, and you have a lot of obstacles and things that are presented your way, but who do you at the end of the day want to be?
All right, first question is, how does Sugar's assistance on working with the Siegel family impact his dynamic with Ruby as the series goes on?
Well, I think what you see in the very first episode is there is something that Ruby knows about the Siegel family, and so because of that, she warns Sugar against taking this case. It's also the fact that he has just come off of this huge case where he is tired and he's gotten too emotionally involved. And I think that from the onset, what you learn to understand is that there's going to be something about this Siegel case that sort of had John not taken this case, his life would be going into a completely different trajectory. But because of it, this is like the spark that sets the whole season on fire.
Okay, and how has stepping into Ruby's shoes enhanced your craft as an artist?
It's been really fun stepping into Ruby's shoes because I will always leap at the opportunity to play a character who is strong, who has authority, but also has moments of vulnerability and sensitivity. And I think that you see Ruby in one way in the first episode, and then I think every single episode you understand her a little differently.